To the now two-time A-Sun Player of the Year.
Yeah, she is a dynamic guard, loves to get downhill. 14 points a game, more than 3 assists per game. She's going to be going up against Reagan Beers, who is a transformative transfer for this Sooners team, coming in from Oregon State, the 6'4" center in the middle, averaging 17 and 9 in just 22 minutes per game.
Meanwhile, for Oklahoma, you see Reagan Beers as we are underway. The All-American for the Sooners wears number 52 in the white. She has been a game changer for the Sooners this season as they are back in the upper echelon of the sport these last few seasons. So away we go. Florida Gulf Coast in that bright blue, Oklahoma in the white. This is one of the fastest and highest scoring teams in the nation. Ball back, though, to Florida Gulf Coast after the giveaway. So this is Jenny Baranchek's starting five. It's brought to you by Capital One. Beers leads the way. Kim, she averages 17 and a half and just about 9 rebounds a game. Peyton Verhulst is the other senior and veteran in the lineup. Three from the corner. That's strong. Lauren Taylor could not hit. Sooners back into the front court. Peyton Verhulst wants 3, and that one glances off the side of the rim. A couple of players go tumbling. Florida Gulf Coast likes to push and play in transition, and they are a blur into the front court. This is their starting five, brought to you by Capital One. You can count that basket, and the foul.
Yeah, that was Dolly Cares, the 5'6" grad student. And this is what FGCU is going to look to do. They're either going to shoot the 3 or they're going to take it to the bucket. And we know that this is a confident group coming in. Not only did they take this Oklahoma team to the wire last season, but Kevin, they have won 3 first-round games as a 12 seed since 2018. They are one of the most dangerous double-digit seeded teams that this tournament has ever seen.
Yeah, it is never a good sign, perhaps, when you draw FGCU. Reagan Beers is going to have quite the advantage in the paint. How would you describe it today?
Yeah, that is the biggest discrepancy in this game, is the size advantage. Florida Gulf Coast does not start a player whose height starts with a 6. So Reagan Beers has a couple of inches on the interior, as we saw on the easy lay-in.
Well, this is the post player that's going to have to deal with Beers. It's number 24 in the blue. That's Lauren Taylor. Oklahoma misses the first at the rim. And then Skylar Van, the program vet, is going to the line.
Reagan Beers named an AP All-American honorable mention. You see her just getting big in the paint, getting the defender on her back. Anytime you see those numbers, 52 in clear daylight, Jenny Baranchek wants her perimeter players to get it into Beers.
Jenny Baranchek, she has elevated Oklahoma back to the upper echelon of the sport. 99 wins in her 4 seasons and a third 25-win season this year for the Sooners in her tenure. Chelsea Lyles, meanwhile, was elevated to the head coaching position after Carl Semesco was the architect, if you will, of this FGCU program. Took the Atlanta Dream job at the WNBA 2 games into this season. So Lyles, who's been on staff forever, former player of Semesco, takes over, and all she does is go 30-1 to begin her coaching tenure and has this team back in the NCAA tournament. Serena Roll had to slam on the brakes in the paint. Roll has it back, fires, that's good. A lot of good quality three-point shooters for the Eagles. Roll not necessarily known as one of the really effective ones, but she buries the 3.
And Kevin, you say this is one of the fastest offenses in the country in Oklahoma. It is the fastest. They play at the fastest pace in the country. They average just under 80 possessions a game. As we've seen it, if you blink, you may miss their shot attempt.
Beers, they say she traveled. Ball back to the Eagles.
And that's what this undersized Eagles team is going to have to do. Just try to be disruptive on Beers, try to frustrate her, be physical with her, push her out off of her spots.
6'4" junior from just outside of Denver. This time is guarding Roll. Roll gave it away. Oklahoma a blur once again. Scott's pass deflected. Oklahoma gets it back. This is Beers. She can stretch it for three.
That's troublesome when you are defending a team whose 6'4" center is comfortable stepping out and knocking down the triple. Reagan Beers off to a hot start here.
She's got the 5, but then the 2 blocks as well. So she has been an imposing presence in the very early minutes, as you would expect. Mitchell Steen with nowhere to go. Roll, another Serena Roll with 2 big ones in the early minutes for the Eagles. Ball back to FGCU.
And we talk about how good Oklahoma is offensively as we look back at Reagan Beers, the center stepping out to knock down a triple. But this Oklahoma team is turnover prone. They average 19 turnovers per game. That's maybe the highest number I have seen this season. So a couple of careless ones against this gritty Florida Gulf Coast defense to start.
Yeah, that's probably the one undoing for this team. There's not many, but that is a really high number. Well, here is Jefferson. She is number 1 in the blue. Could not get the traditional up and under that time to go through. Lexi Keys off the bench and into the game for Oklahoma. Nice ball movement that time, and it's Skylar Van underneath. 9-all, early minutes, round of 64 action, and it's a rematch between OU and Florida Gulf Coast. For a second straight season, they meet in the first round. Underneath, OU can't hit it. You got the sisters on the floor now, Zaya and Skylar, number 3 and number 24 in the white. That was Zaya Van, affected that shot. Verhulst across the timeline. Skylar wants 3, that's pure.
And that's a huge bucket for Skylar Van because she had been 0 of her last 15 threes. Has been in a bit of a scoring slump the last 4 games, so that has to feel good for her.
Entertaining start. These two teams trading blows. Jefferson's pass is deflected, got smothered that time. Skylar Gill recovers. Back up top, that 3 is offline. Casey Santoro can't hit. And it's Liz Scott running the floor once again. Couldn't finish it. Fast-paced start. Santoro dials it up. Jefferson draws the foul on Oklahoma. Florida Gulf Coast basketball when we return. 4:30 to go in the first. Entertaining start. FGCU a possession game and Oklahoma leading by 3. The Eagles had one last look, what would have been a game-tying 3-pointer at the horn that did not go. And now Chelsea Lyle's team faces Oklahoma again. This rarely happens, by the way, the repeat meeting.
Yeah, this is just the 3rd time in tournament history that we have had teams rematch in back-to-back seasons. We asked Jenny Bronchick. She said she went right back and watched all of last year's meeting, but she also said, I don't know which team is more different, our team or their team. I would say FGCU definitely has more different players, but Imani Jefferson had 22 points and 12 rebounds in last year's meeting.
Yeah, the 2-time defending ASUN Player of the Year. She's got it here after the Oklahoma miss. The only players of note back for FGCU, as you mentioned, Jefferson and Cairns. Taylor wants 3, way offline that time, but somehow it falls to Jefferson. She could not finish. So missed opportunity. Oklahoma now with numbers. Zahara Williams got cut off on the baseline.
And then for Oklahoma, it's essentially the same group, but now you add in that young lady right there, 52, Reagan Beers, who is a huge size advantage in this matchup, as we've mentioned.
She helped elevate this program in its first year in the SEC. Scott denies Taylor. And the Sooners come back the other way. So they are now scoreless. FGCU is in more than 3 minutes. Oklahoma inbounds it underneath the hoop in just a moment. So here is our bracket. Iowa advanced earlier today. A game that was close deep into the second quarter. Iowa took a 12-point lead at the break and then just pulled away, to say the least, early in the third after Murray State star Caitlin Young got injured. So they await the winner of this one. Beers goes up strong, knocked out, stays here.
And how about the defense from Skylar Gill? She's a senior, had left for a year, left the conference to go to Kansas, but she had previously been the defensive player of the year in this conference.
Oh, Williams goes up strong. Inside of 3 minutes, first quarter. Winner advances to the round of 32. Oklahoma trying to get to its first Sweet 16 in more than a decade. It has been a while. Remember, no 14 seed has ever advanced in the first round of the women's tournament. So after another FGCU miss, back on this end of the floor, and Beers scores it.
And I think that's the recipe for the Sooners all afternoon. Just keep feeding it into her. Let FGCU have to figure out how to deal with her size.
She's got 7 points now. It's a 9-0 Oklahoma run. Alana Page's 3 offline, and the Eagles 2 out of 10 from distance. Keys buries the transition 3.
She's got the keys, and transition defense has to be paramount for FGCU with the pace at which Oklahoma plays. You have to stop the ball early and locate shooters on the perimeter, which is almost anybody who steps on the floor.
Another miss at the rim. The giveaway gets it back. This is Skylar Gill. Can't hit it. So the Eagles, they're getting their shots, but that's 13 straight misses. Bounce pass into traffic. That's taken away. So they're getting looks, but they're just 3 out of 21 from the floor. And they've fallen now into a 10-point hole.
Yeah, I mean, this is a tough matchup because they either shoot threes or layups, and layups are going to be tough to come by when Reagan Beers is sitting in the paint. So if you're not hitting your threes at a high rate, where else can you get your points?
Well, Cairns, she is the most effective three-point shooter in the ASUN with a timely bucket. This one is knocked around, taken away by Florida Gulf Coast.
That's the 6th turnover now for Oklahoma. We mentioned this is a highly prone turnover team, despite all of the experience they have. It's odd to see.
If there, it can be one equalizer today for the 14 seed. Perhaps it's that. Kamari Mitchell-Steen over to Cairns with 5, and there's a foul. And it should reset everything here with about a half a minute to go.
Reagan Beers, 6'4", just establishing her position early. And then this Oklahoma team loves to push pace. Williams over to Keys. Hot start offensively for Oklahoma. They are 3 of 6 from deep.
Yeah, just one step ahead really in every regard. Shot clock resets, half a minute to go, first quarter. Cairns just hit a 3, chucks it up, offline. And now Oklahoma, it's a lot of one-and-done possessions here. They have very much in control on the glass. That is a major forte of this team.
I was wondering if this is a team that will actually slow it down to take the last shot. It looks like they will.
Scott picks up the dribble. Skylar Van finds Culleton. It's good. 1 second. There's a heave from Jefferson. That's short. 21-point first quarter for Oklahoma. It shoots 44% from the field.
Interesting style. They will not look to take a mid-range shot. They will look to take threes or layups. So far, they're 1 of 4 on layups. They're 3 of 15 from 3. And Reagan Beers has been the difference maker for Oklahoma. She's getting a rest right now. She only averages about 22 minutes per game, but 7 points and 4 rebounds for the Oregon State transfer.
It is a deep and potent Oklahoma rotation. And so Beatrice Culleton, she's number 0 in the white, She's going to play the 5 right now. Scored the latest basket before the horn sounded in the first quarter. Imani Jefferson whistled for the offensive foul. That is their star player, and that is her second.
She looks upset. That's a tough one. I don't know if Verhulst was really there in time, beat her to the spot. Verhulst was fighting over the top of that screen, but I think Jefferson has a reason to have some frustration there.
Now, she sold it. They definitely got the call, and nevertheless, that's 2 fouls on Jefferson. So that is a dire blow right now. Pass inside. That one is caught, and then a foul underneath. That is the first on Kamari Mitchell-Steen. And Peyton Verhulst, a senior from Kansas, is at the free throw line. Verhulst, 2-time all-conference playmaker. She has thrived in her 2 seasons in Norman.
Yeah, she's one of the most versatile perimeter players in the country. As a 6'1" guard, she leads his team in assists and steals. She averages 15 a game, almost 6 rebounds per game. She had a triple-double back in November, 29-point triple-double.
So even without Beers, she very much is the 1A or the 1B to the 1A, if you want to call it that. Those two have been vital and have led the way for Oklahoma from the scoring standpoint. Cairns was free for a moment and then cut off. There's only 4 to shoot. Mitchell-Steen fires offline. Williams with her eyes up finds Verhulst. And Oklahoma, this very potent and effective offense, goes back to work. Williams starts to spin. Extra pass. This is Raina Scott. Can't hit it. Culleton secures the board. Who wants it on the floor? A couple players get tangled up, and the possession arrow favors Oklahoma, so it will get a new 20 here early in the second.
We should also mention this is a very good rebounding team as well. Oklahoma, second in the country at almost a +12, so that's a huge factor in this game as well. With the size differential, Florida Gulf Coast really has to be disciplined about boxing out on this end of the floor.
Yeah, and you saw the advantage already. It is fairly significant. A couple of offensive rebounds as well. Look at Beers, just check back in. Get her the ball, got it, and the foul.
Yeah, I don't see why the Sooners wouldn't do that every possession she's in the game. She is establishing her position. Her efficiency this season has been her superpower. 66% on the season. That is 4th in the country. And that time they try to send her a double, but she's still bigger than both players, able to shoot right over the top.
Already in double figures with 10. Just their go-to centerpiece. When she hit the transfer portal last year after the All-American season at Oregon State, it was Oklahoma and UConn. Those were pretty much the 2 contenders. She chooses OU, and she has blended in seamlessly. This team has welcomed her. It's a squad that's continuity and chemistry has only improved as the season has. Beers running the floor. They found her. Timeout, Eagles. Oklahoma on a 21-3 run on the
season. Everything has looked so easy for Reagan Beers. Florida Gulf Coast, really their only option as we look at these accolades coming over from the Pac-12 last season. They have to try to push her out and off of her spots, maybe play with the player in front, have help coming from the back, because one-on-one with the player on the back is not working right now.
Yeah, again, anybody you match it up with Beers, she's going to have basically a half a foot on whichever forward or guard. There's Gill offline on the 3. And so for Florida Gulf Coast, they're 3 of 17 from distance, and a lot of their looks, not many of them have been terribly close. That Skylar Van triple is offline. So offensively, though, stick to the script. No, today against Oklahoma.
Well, coach is putting Jefferson back in the game, who is their best downhill driver. She picked up the 2 fouls. But until those threes start falling at a little bit of a higher clip, I think they have to try to mix things up. Another 3 falls for Verhulst. Florida Gulf Coast going to have to look to get some stops so that they can rebound and run and get ahead of that defense.
That's now 11 makes for Oklahoma. All 11 have been assisted. That is rare to see a start like this. Every single one. And that is by no means not much of a surprise if you follow this program. They've got a high assist rate and a very prolific offense. That is the 4th highest scoring in the nation. Cairns, step back 3 offline. So again, there's another miss from distance.
Yeah, this Oklahoma team actually first in the country in assists per game, just under 22. They assist on 69% of their field goals this season.
This is Mitchell Steen, draws the foul on Williams. So remember, for the 5th straight season, every NCAA Women's Championship game is on the networks of ESPN. And for more information on schedules, tip times, go to ncaa.com. Your home for the 90 NCAA championships. This is Kamari Mitchell-Steen, senior from Oak Ridge, Tennessee. It's not far from Knoxville. Has gone for about 9.5 per game. Defense is certainly her forte. She leads the league in steals. And it was another season where Florida Gulf Coast just marched right through the A-Sun. Santoro comes back in. Mitchell-Steen sits down.
Yeah, this is a team that has won 23 straight games, but so much of what they do is the 3-point shot, and that has not been here this afternoon.
Look at the last 4 games for Oklahoma, by the way. This pass was bobbled underneath, and Liz Scott's able to secure it. That is an eye-popping percentage. Tot wants 3, offline that time, missed everything. You know, what's a good assist rate? 2/3 of the time. That's pretty solid. That's incredible. Their latest games, of course, coming in the SEC tournament. They beat Georgia and Kentucky in the quarters before bowing out to South Carolina in the semis. 3 is in the air, and the struggles continue. Offensive board, back out to Cairns. That's good.
Cairns is their best threat, for sure. The team as a whole doesn't shoot a great percentage, about 33%, but she's right around 45%. She has a couple.
Well, for Florida Gulf Coast, it's more about the volume. You know, the more threes, your odds increase, more makes. Jefferson does draw the foul, and so Imani Jefferson. Jefferson will be at the line with 4:56 to go, halfway through the second quarter. So here in Norman, Jenny Baranchek's team, known for its efficient, prolific style. Look, they lead the NCAA in assists per game and then possessions per game. And today, very much on track for a very similar high-scoring performance, as you can see by the other bullet points.
Yeah, this team shares the ball well. They are unselfish. We asked Coach Baranchek yesterday, is there a certain number on the shot clock that you want them to get it up by? And she said, no, I want them to get the first good look, the highest percentage look. And the way that they move that ball around so quickly, it frequently opens up for wide open looks early in the shot clock.
Imani Jefferson, that is the 2-time ASUN Player of the Year, at the line, able to convert 2. She's playing with 2 fouls. Baranchek was very candid, especially after the bracket came out. Her team has gotten better, it seems, as the year has played out. A very driven and connected Sooners squad this season, and that camaraderie, it's only improved. and evolved as the year has played out. Beers, that gets blocked, and another block from behind by Serena Roll. Nice sequence there for Florida Gulf Coast.
Yeah, Florida Gulf Coast has adjusted the coverage on Beers a little bit after that first quarter. They've sent more bodies to her. That time, Roll coming in from the backside. They really love Roll. She typically defends the best perimeter player, but stepping in to give some coverage on the backside with 2 blocks.
Jefferson wisely draws a foul on Verhulst. And so Jefferson is back at the line.
Jefferson is the difference maker when Florida Gulf Coast is struggling from 3. They're just 4 of 21 in this game. She is their best attacker, best at getting downhill into the free throw line. When Coach Lyles put her back in the game with two fouls, it's allowed them to close the gap a little bit.
Florida Gulf Coast from Fort Myers, and it's the 11th NCAA tournament in the last 13 years. They've only missed it twice. Basically the last decade and a half. In a lot of ways, the best mid-major program in the nation, at least arguably.
Yeah, I mean, just the consistency, the dominance year after year is remarkable when you go up and down the numbers and stats.
Keys is the shooter, steps into it. Jefferson down with the rebound.
Jefferson has some vertical there. She was the smallest player in that cluster and came up with the board.
So Chelsea Lyles' team is within 10, deeper in the second quarter. These are their 4 NCAA tournament wins, all coming in the round of 64.
Yeah, I mean, the most recent 3, 18, 22, 23, they were the 12 seed, upsetting the 5. They nearly did it for a 4th time last year against this very Oklahoma team, missing that tying 3 at the buzzer.
But now for the first time, they have to take on the higher seeded team in their own building. So that's the downside, if you will, of playing a top 4 seeded team.
Yeah, and the 14 seed was interesting, considering they were 30-3, a better record than last year when they were at 12. I think they were a little perplexed by the 14 seed. It doesn't seem like they really respected what Florida Gulf Coast has done in this tournament.
Jefferson, little Euro step, and the hesitation gets it done. So they're back within 8. We've got the Fort Myers cheering section over here just to our left. And there is a little energy and life now for the first time on that FGCU side.
Uh-oh, that's her 3rd if it's on Jefferson.
That is on Jefferson.
And unfortunately, this young lady just picked up her 3rd, but such an explosive player, can break an ankle, but sadly, they gambled by putting her back in the game with 2 fouls. She picks up the 3rd just as she was really bringing some life back for the Eagles.
Remarkably, that was an 11-0 Eagles run. After the turnover, Santoro to Cairns, wants it, offline, and Beers secures her 5th rebound, make it, pardon me, her 7th. Beers posting very quickly, kick it back out. This is Scott, down and out. This one's free on the baseline. Van controlled it for Oklahoma, and then another reach-in foul.
So that's what can happen if you're Florida Gulf Coast. You defended well. You got Beers to kick it out. You get a 3 to miss. You have to end the position with a defensive rebound. You have to box out and battle for it, because now not only do you give them a second chance, you pick up another foul.
And Oklahoma is in the bonus. Who's shooting the free throws, though? We're playing musical chairs. Reagan Beers at the free throw line. She was the North Star, if you want to call it that, for Oregon State last year. You like that one?
I do like it.
Remember,
I mean, that was a really talented team.
Yep.
Yeah, it was sad with, how good the Pac-12 was last season, women's basketball. Then it disbanded, and most of those star players dispersed.
Winds up in Oklahoma this year. And so Florida Gulf Coast Came into this tournament red hot like it normally does. Winners of 23 straight. It's a 9-point game. Cairns on the pull-up. That's a rare mid-range attempt. Went down and out. Skylar Van misfires. And another foul on FGCU. That'll send Oklahoma back to the line.
Yeah, these fouls right around the rim on the attempted box outs are starting to pile up for FGCU, and Oklahoma does not need any additional help on second chance points and getting to the free throw line.
Sahara Williams will shoot one more. Oklahoma regains a double-digit lead. First round action in Norman. Winner takes on Iowa on Monday. Skylar Gill back out to Santoro for three.
And that's textbook FGCU, but we can't blink because there's already a three up for Oklahoma. But on that previous possession, Florida Gulf Coast gets a drive into the paint, kicks out, knocks down the open three.
The Eagles dug themselves out of a 19-point hole earlier this quarter. And they have a chance now to cut further into the deficit. 1 minute to play in the second. Mitchell Steen offline. With Jefferson still on the bench. Assuredly for the rest of this half here. She picked up the 3 fouls. Van straight on 3.
We don't see many teams in women's college basketball go 2 for 1. If there's ever a team to do that, it's Oklahoma. They'll have no, now the difference is too small, but you can tell they were thinking it.
Cairns with 6. Over to Gill. Fires. Not that time. 1 second. Oklahoma will take the 10-point lead into halftime. They led by as many as 19. The 3-seeded favorites in this Norman pod shoot 33% in that first half. And they have the advantage. Let's go to the studio now. Here's Kelsey.
Kevin and Kim, thanks so much.
The NCAA Women's Championship is presented by Capital One. And you're watching the first round presented by Intuit TurboTax. To Gulf Coast, a rematch of this battle a year ago in the first round. Oklahoma got the Eagles then. They've got the advantage now. That is Kim Adams, Kevin Fitzgerald with you. So Oklahoma got up early and big at one point, led by as many as 19. So we're going to look at what has fueled this Oklahoma offense, what has fueled the run, brought to you by Wendy's. What has it been offensively for the Sooners?
It has been sharing the ball, everybody getting involved. This Sooners team leads the country in assists. They get about 22 per game. They had 12 field goals in the first 20 minutes. All 12 of them were assisted. We see high-low action. We see kick-out to shooters. This is one of 5 threes that the Sooners would knock down. Skylar Van, her sister, into Reagan Beers. Reagan Beers leading all scorers with 13 points. But this Oklahoma team, incredibly unselfish. That ball moves in and out around the perimeter at such a quick pace.
Meanwhile, on the other end, Florida Gulf Coast has now attempted 26 three-pointers. They've only hit 5, so their field goal percentage of 19%. Reagan Beers has got 13 and 8 for the Sooners. And it's the first time, or rather just the second time, I should say, FGCU has trailed at the half this season. Verhulst got it on the baseline.
And I think that was another assist right on the inbounds pass, right into the shooter's pocket. They stay perfect on the assist rate.
Well, we saw Iowa. That's a foul on the interior.
Yeah, here's the replay. And to be able to assist on just catch and shoots comes from a couple things. Moving without the ball, your teammates setting good screens, and placing those passes perfectly. And that all happened there. It was Reagan Beers on the screen for Verhulst.
That is significant that this has now reached the third quarter. This stretch is alive, or the streak, if you want to call it that. We saw Iowa score 92 and roll the 11th seed Murray State Racers earlier today. A game in which Iowa set a program assist record for an NCAA tournament game. Imani Jefferson couldn't scoop it in. And Oklahoma is going to...
They just called a foul on Jefferson. That's her fourth, and that's not a good call. That's not a good call. She was just on the floor. I mean, she just fell down, and Beers tripped. What is she supposed to do there? That's her fourth. You take the best player out of the game on that call. To me, that's really bad.
Well, that's a surprising one. And so Jefferson to the bench. That is a tough break for Florida Gulf Coast. And so they are without their best player 1 minute into the third quarter. Now, Oklahoma just gave it back, and you can see Jefferson is, she's bewildered herself.
She falls to the floor. She's trying to just stay there to not trip anybody. Just incidental contacts. That's really tough.
Taylor straight on three. That's offline. But we can, we can even just peel the layers back. What is she supposed to do there? Right back to Beers. Got it. Jenny Baranczyk with an emphatic fist bump after that sequence. And another assisted make. That three is down for Serena Roll. What an afternoon for Roll, who's got another triple.
Yeah, Florida Gulf Coast, so their leader goes to the bench. He's probably going to be there for a while, but Oklahoma keeps answering. But Florida Gulf Coast can't let that phase them right now. They have a lot of talented scorers. They have to continue doing what they do best. That's moving the ball. See if they can balance out these threes with some attacking as well. Try to get out and play with some pace, but it starts with getting a stop on this end.
It's still early in the third, but if you're FGCU, your season's on the line. I mean, when do you even think about putting her back in? Is it just start of the fourth quarter? Or if it perhaps starts getting out of hand?
Yeah, I would say normally would probably be the fourth quarter, but like you said, it's win or go home. If this starts ballooning 20 points or so, what do you have to lose, I guess?
That latest basket is Skylar Van's latest bucket, so she is now into double figures. Van with 14 on 5 of 7 shooting. Williams underneath, got caught a little too far underneath the basket, got stuck with it, but could not finish with the right. Kaylin Flowers getting some minutes now, number 12 in the blue. Cairns is the second, or has been the second best offensive option today. Flowers, the freshman, kicks it back out. Roll gathers, Roll the layup, and draws the foul.
Oklahoma's perfect assist record is no longer active, but 14 of 16 is pretty darn good. And look at the patience inside and out. And then Skylar Van, this is a big get-right game for her, Kevin. In her last 4, she was only averaging 4 points per game. Her efficiency was really down, and Van is up to 14 points already.
The heart and soul of the program. Most experienced Sooner. So she and Beers have combined for 29. Eagles split the pair at the line. A dangerous pass. Here's Zaya Van, wants the three, can't connect. Big sister with the rebound. Skylar goes up. They wave that basket off offensive foul on Oklahoma, and that is probably going to be Liz Scott. Got tangled up, I believe, with an Eagle player, and that is the second on Scott, so wave off the basket. It's been a struggle for Florida Gulf Coast. You see the field goal percentage, 19% from the floor. They're actually a tad better from distance. They're 20% from three, but then again, they're only 20% from three.
Yeah, they've taken 43 shots, and 30 of them have been threes. There's a downhill and one to mix things up a little bit.
Count that basket for Kamari Mitchell-Steen, the senior from outside of Knoxville, Tennessee.
Mitchell-Steen going with that left to right crossover, strong finish, high off the glass, and that's what this team needs to stay lifted while their leader and best scorer, Amani Jefferson, is sidelined with 4 fouls.
Well, behind Jefferson, it's a bevy of scorers. There's no clear, bona fide kind of second leading scorer on this team. Taylor, Mitchell-Steen, Cairns, they all average anywhere from 8 to 10 points per game. And so Cairns has been clearly the most prolific scorer today. The 15 on 5 of 9 shooting. Rest of the team, only 18 points. Latest foul was on Mitchell-Steen. Approaching the midway mark of the third. Winner advances to the second round, and it would face Iowa on Monday. This is Van goes in strong. That's kicked around. Cairns secures it. Cairns sets the feet, hoists it. Knocked out by the Eagles. Serena Roll back on the floor for Chelsea Lyles. The Eagles are hanging tough with the 3 seed. Sooners, Verhulst got it to go.
She's just such a tough matchup because you see right there, they put a smaller guard on her. She takes it right into the post where she's really perfected that smooth turnaround game.
She's a taller guard at 6'1". Deep post catch, Liz Scott. No, this is Skylar Van. Count it! And the foul. So Van will be at the line. Who will their next opponent be? Oklahoma with a 15-point advantage in Norman.
Yeah, we look at those numbers there for Iowa. The 28 assists and then 62 points in the paint. They had a real size advantage and they took advantage. We know Hannah Stolke, but it was the freshman Ava Hayden who really had a big first half when Stolke got 2 quick fouls.
They really wound up trampling Murray State in the second half of that game. Caitlin Young, the star for the Racers, went down with an injury a couple minutes into the third, was lost for the game, and then they just started pouring it in. 92 points for Iowa in that round of 64 win. Meanwhile, Kaylin Flowers with her first bucket of the afternoon. It's a timely one. The 14 seed remains down double digits. They are hammering the glass, Oklahoma is. Here's a third look. That one did not hit the rim, so the shot clock doesn't reset. Van turns around and knocks it down.
And that is, I believe, like the 16th offensive rebound for the Sooners. They are just pounding it on the glass.
49 to 21 rebound advantage. Foul on Scott. That's her third.
Second chance points are 18 to 3 in favor of Oklahoma. Let's take a look at 2 of those 18. Look at the extra passes. The inside and out game has been gorgeous for Oklahoma today. And that smile again from Skylar Van, who had a rough stretch of the last 4 games or so, a rough SEC tournament, and she has been on one today. 19 points on 7 of 10 shooting and 8 rebounds.
Meanwhile, Skylar Gill at the line for the Eagles. Van, this is her final go-around. 5th year at the program. Edmond, Oklahoma native, grew up just north of OKC, so maybe an hour from campus, if that. So what will her last run include? These Sooners, they've been tournament regulars for decades. After a couple of down years not long ago, Jenny Baranczyk gets hired after a really successful stint at Drake. And the former Iowa stud would meet her alma mater in the round of 32 on Monday, should they advance. Lexi Keys knocks in another triple.
And that was a possession where the defense was really keying on Reagan Beers. 2 or 3 were around her. She drew the attention, and Keys knocks it down.
Oh, nice up and under from Skylar Gill. For the Eagles, it's now getting the stops on this end. Culleton can't hit the straight-on long 2. The Sooners team, quite simply, was just one of the better teams in America all year. They thrived. Another 25-win season, the 3rd in Baranczyk's 4 years. Gill, aggressive, back at the free throw line. And she has been looking for her shot and assertive with Jefferson still on the bench.
Yeah, Gill just looks really confident out there. She looks like a leader. She's keeping the group together. She's making plays on both ends of the floor. We know she's really well known as a defender, but she's kept her foot on the gas offensively here with Jefferson on the bench with the foul trouble.
Keys wide open. The transition 3 is left short. Karina Gordon looking for Taylor. Was somehow able to stay under control. Flowers, the turn, could not finish. Gill takes it away. Verholst a careless pass. Gill in transition. Gordon 4-3. And Florida Gulf Coast has got it back to single digits late in the 3rd. Oklahoma needs a minute. Timeout Sooners. Their once double-digit lead is now gone for the moment.
Has just continued to press forward. Skylar Gill has been the one that's really led the charge, and then a huge 3 there from Karina Gordon for her first points of the game. And we mentioned the success that this team has in March as a double-digit seed. It's in their DNA. Chelsea Lyles was a player, now a coach, as associate head coach, now the head coach. This is a confident group, and we were just looking at Jefferson on the bench. We'll see when coach wants to put her back in the game.
Well, after the turnover, they can cut into the deficit even further. 3 out of 9 from distance in the 3rd quarter. This is Gill on the attack. Gill kick it back out to Flowers. The freshman has logged some minutes here in the 3rd. Oh, nearly lost the dribble and nearly walked. Instead, this is Cairns, off balance 3. Oklahoma has it. Sooners in a hurry into the front court. Skylar Van could not hit it. Knocked out though, and last touch by the Eagles. Coverage of the NCAA Division I Men's Basketball Championship continues on CBS, TNT, TBS, and True TV. Game times, tip times, all the information you need is at ncaa.com. First round action. NCAA Women's Championship, day 2 of this round of 64. That's a foul on Lauren Taylor. Now that is just the 14th foul on the Eagles. So the next whistle would put Oklahoma at the line. They would be in the bonus. All right, another chance to cut into the deficit.
Well, the pace that Oklahoma plays with allows a team to make a comeback, because Oklahoma is shooting with only 3 or 4 seconds on the shot clock. If they miss like they have been, that's allowing FGCU to run it back in another bucket to further cut into this lead. 9-0 run.
Yeah, it's a 9-0 burst for the Eagles. 7-point game. Here's Beers. Could not get it. Cairns, lead feed to Gill, who's catching fire in the third. Working around, right back to Gill. Passes up the 3. Karina Gordon.
Jefferson has to be salivating to get back in this game.
Still on the bench with the 4 fouls. Cairns, watch that go halfway down and pop out. So 20 seconds to go. One last look for Oklahoma. And so can something here swing it back in the Sooners' favor? Oklahoma led by as many as 19. 7-point game here. Beers going back over the right shoulder. She struggled. 2 seconds. Gill fouled. And Skylar Gill has got 2 free throws here.
Wow.
To get this possibly back to a 5-point game. To the 4th.
Yeah, I mean, that sequence sums up just how hard and how gritty, how hard they play and how gritty this FGCU team is. They force the miss, they get the rebound, they have the wherewithal to try to push it up, and they draw a foul there in the bonus.
Oklahoma did not shoot well in this third quarter. Plus, they coughed it up too many times. Meanwhile, for the visitors, this third quarter was their best. I'm going to whistle. That's on Florida Gulf Coast. And now Reagan Beers is going to go to the line for 2 with just 0.4 of a second left on the clock. So another nickel dimer.
Let's take a look here.
On Taylor.
I think that's you just let the clock run out. I mean, 2 players jostling for position, nothing egregious.
There's been a couple of 50-50 calls, if we want to put it that way. Half a second to go. Chelsea Lyles watching. Beers gets 1 out of 2. And so she and Gill, they trade free throws. We are going to the 4th quarter, and this game is a 7-point ball game. The 3-seeded Oklahoma Sooners in their own building. Remember, finer games in a Hawkeye uniform powers the Hawkeyes to a big-time trampling of Murray State earlier today.
Yeah, the offense was clicking on all cylinders. The inside game, the outside game, the assists. They had a program record for the NCAA tournament, 28 assists. Jan Jensen, all reasons to smile after that performance today.
Look at that, 62 points in the paint. That outscored Murray State's total. Meanwhile, game 2, Oklahoma tested again. The deja vu by these Florida Gulf Coast Eagles. And look who is going off once more. Skylar Vann, just like a year ago in the round of 64. She's got 22. On the other end, it's Skylar Gill, who broke out in that third quarter and was pivotal to the Eagles getting it back to a single-digit game. Foul on Oklahoma, offensive foul on Williams. Ball back to the Eagles.
Yeah, this was the correct call. Williams leading with the elbow to the face there. Kamari Mitchell-Steen standing her ground. And I'm looking at Amani Jefferson. She's sitting first chair right now, just itching to get back into this game. Their leading scorer. She's coaching the team right now. We will see when Chelsea Lyles wants to put her back in with the 4 fouls.
The Eagles wound up outscoring Oklahoma by 3 in that third quarter. Here's Flowers for 3, way off. Oklahoma, they save it, but right to the Eagles. And another opportunity. Shot clock did not reset. They got to be mindful of it. And now we get the whistle. Jody Cantrell might have noticed that the shot clock should have reset. That's the question. Right now it was down to 3. And I would assume that's what we're going to go to the monitor for.
Baranchek is fired up.
She's hot. Baranchek right now is red hot.
She wanted a flop on the other end, but I thought that was the correct call.
watch this one.
That one did not hit, but there's another shot that's going to come up.
Does this one hit the rim?
No, from there it appears no, but they blew it dead. And that's another reason why Baranchek is upset. She wanted to flop on one end, which I think they made the correct call, and now she's upset at the stoppage.
Official review in a tight one. Oklahoma leads it by 8. The NCAA Women's Championship is presented by Capital One. What's in your wallet? It's been a good battle between the Eagles and Sooners. No exception here between Azul and Boomer. Just a minute into the fourth quarter with Kim Adams, Kevin Fitzgerald with you. Look at the latest sequence, by the way. Our officials determined that the shot clock was not reset properly. They determined that when Skylar Vann gathered that one with her left hand, it had changed possession. So that is why the shot clock has been reset from 3 to now 24. It continues to wind. Eagles within 8. Fourth quarter, round of 64. Deja vu with these two teams once again, but this year in Norman. Knocked away, Oklahoma takes it. Nice defensive swipe that time by Raina Scott. The Eagles have been the aggressor in this second half. Reagan Beers with the left, can't finish. Well, she has struggled underneath in the second half. Dolly Cairns, foot on the gas, knocked out. Oklahoma basketball.
You're starting to sense a little tightness in this close game right now. Beers on the other end, she's getting the catches she got in the first half. She's just not going up as strong. Credit to Lauren Taylor, who's defending her inside and really being physical at only 5'11".
Scott wide open for 3. That rattles out. Skylar Gill having one of the better halves of her season. Comes down with the board. Flowers was open for a moment. Flowers puts it up, can't bank it in. A first round of this women's tournament that has been essentially devoid of a major upset. Skylar Vann with another basket. And right now, still early in this fourth quarter, it's a 10-point game favoring the 3-seeded Oklahoma Sooners. Timeout on the floor. Timeout rather. Florida Gulf Coast, 7:40 in the fourth.
And Chelsea Lyles finally inserting her two-time Atlantic Sun Player of the Year back in the lineup there. Amani Jefferson will be back on the floor after the break.
That is incredible. She's played 1 minute in this second half. And Florida Gulf Coast is still in this thing. How about the day for Skylar Vann, the fifth-year senior from Oklahoma, with another 20-point game?
Yeah, Skylar Vann did not get any sort of postseason recognition in the SEC, but let's not forget, she was a co-Big 12 Player of the Year last season. As we look at the numbers she has put up in both of these first-round meetings against FGCU, she is playing like a true veteran today. And there is the two-time Atlantic Sun Player of the Year. Amani Jefferson has played only 10 minutes in this game because of some really questionable foul calls. Picked up her fourth foul just a couple minutes, or rather just 1 minute into the third quarter. So she has sat since that moment. But the Eagles are within 10. Brilliant work by the rest of this team to keep it a game. Drive and kick, it's a bounce pass, should be a kick ball. And that's going to reset the shot clock to 20. You've got to credit what Gill did. How about Kaylin Flowers, the freshman, by the way, off the bench with some impactful plays in that third quarter with Jefferson down. Yeah, Gill was really the difference maker. She was steady. She fired up the team. She was an impact on both ends. Here she is again. She's got it. We're going to take it back in. Jefferson, ball fake, draws the foul. And that's an obvious one on Scott. That'll be the fourth on Liz Scott. And Imani Jefferson at the free throw line. It does not happen often.
where two teams will meet in the NCAA tournament in the opening round, no less, in consecutive seasons. That is what we have here. Final score a season ago in Bloomington, Oklahoma 73, Florida Gulf Coast 70. It was a tight, competitive game. This time around, though, Florida Gulf Coast, they have had to claw their way back into it. Beers back on the floor, and with those free throws, it's an 8-point game again.
It's been incredibly impressive how they stuck around this game and just stayed confident, while the Conference Player of the Year had to watch 9 minutes of that third quarter from the bench.
There's Zaya Van, rolls out. Beers finally gets one to go. Just her second field goal in the second half. 10-point game. Jefferson finds Mitchell Steen. Mitchell Steen banks it. No, would not go. Gill gambled, went for the steal. Back out to Van. Drive and kick. And Oklahoma continues to work it around. Verhulst, not that time. And Skylar Gill with another rebound. Now 11 points, 3 boards, 3 assists for the senior from Wichita. Jefferson taking it in strong. Jefferson follows her own miss.
She is fun to watch, and Chelsea Lyles, head coach, really fired up on the sideline.
The fifth-year senior from Miami watches as that one goes halfway down and pops out. Mitchell Steen out to Gill, straight on 3. Not that time. Foul on the floor, and it's on Verhulst. It'll stay with FGCU.
Reagan Beers had a big first half. It's been a little quieter, having trouble finishing in the second half, but this time on the putback. And then Imani Jefferson, fresh back into the game, just making it happen, trying to will her team back in this game after having to sit most of that third quarter. She's back in a big way.
Now, she's a great rebounder. She's got 8 boards to go along with the 10 points. Most of that production at the line. Keeps the pivot foot, but could not finish it. And that'll be one to circle. That would have got it back to a 6-point game. This is Scott. Fires. Couldn't finish.
And that, you think Oklahoma, do you start to think a little time and score here? They're rushing into quick shots, which is how they played all season. But if there's ever a moment to pull it back and make sure you're getting a really good look, this 5 minutes is probably that against a Florida Gulf Coast team who can run it up and get a layup real quick.
Jefferson knifes in, out to Flowers, puts it up, misfires. FGCU 2 of 11 from the field in this fourth quarter. Playing from behind. Verhulst now, close range look. Verhulst, count it!
Peyton Verhulst just so solid. The cross-court cut, and honestly, you have to give some of this credit to Reagan Beers because just her presence on the block is drawing the attention of 2 defenders. That's what's allowed some openings to come about for her teammates. But Verhulst is just so good in that post area as a bigger guard.
Now she misses the free throw, and that one was deflected out by the Eagles. Oklahoma retains it with 4:48 to go and leading by 10. It's been a first round that has been devoid of a really eye-popping upset. Maybe the closest team to knock off a very highly seeded team, that was Liberty yesterday, the 1-point loss to the 4-seed Kentucky. Meanwhile, here today, we saw Vermont in a very tight game entering the fourth quarter. Ultimately got blown out in that fourth by NC State. And now here in Norman, the 14th seeded Eagles, who have won so many first-round games the last decade, they remain in a dogfight. Beers going up strong.
Too much Beers right now. She's really stayed aggressive and assertive using that size. She's gotten through the frustration of missing some easy ones. just stayed alert down there.
20 points and 17 boards for Beers.
Wow.
Jefferson lost the handle.
Reagan Beers at 6'4", has the size advantage in this game. She draws 2-3 different players coming around trying to dig the ball, but she keeps it high, lays up that finish. The 17 rebounds is insane.
It's a new season high, 3 off of her career best. Beers was open momentarily. They find her, score it. Oklahoma is it beginning to pull away now. 4 minutes to go.
Beers so good at positioning herself, and her teammates really skilled at finding her on that backside on that one.
Taylor, they might need it. Way off on the 3. Just a day where Florida Gulf Coast, uncharacteristically, very off from deep. And Beers has another. The Sooners have put the pedal to the metal in this fourth quarter.
Reagan Beers was calling for this ball a couple steps over half court, and her teammates have moved that ball around to find the best angle into her, and I love the teammates being so fired up here. Look at Skylar Vann, whose role was diminished a little bit this season because of Reagan Beers coming into this team, and all the players have embraced it and just how talented they can be with all of those players working together on the floor.
Look at that. She scored the last 8 points for Oklahoma. 25 for Beers to go along with the 17 rebounds. She's ignited again in this fourth quarter. And you wonder if that three-point play is going to be the dagger. After the latest miss, 3:15 to go. Oklahoma is in a very good position. Zaya Vann for 3. A 12-0 burst that might seal it in Norman. Jefferson knocked it away, and it will stay with the Sooners. 2:53 to go.
Coach Baranchik was apologizing to the FGCU players. She said, sorry, I was in your way. I know you were trying to save it. That just shows the type of coach that Jenny is.
Oh, the emotions. Beers gets the ovation. Oklahoma with its largest lead at the most critical of times. Verholst the latest. And boy, Oklahoma took control of this thing just a couple of minutes ago to say, all right, enough messing around. And they are very much well on their way right now in position to get back to the round of 32. And it is Iowa that would await them on Monday. This is Gill. She gets blocked by Scott. 2:20 to play. And traveling violation. Scott shuffled her feet. But now the deficit, if you're Florida Gulf Coast, just about insurmountable.
Yeah, I mean, they blinked their eyes, and Oklahoma just opened the floodgates, and it just speaks to how explosive this Sooners offense can be when they can hurt you from 3, when Beers is as dominant as she's been, putting up 25 points and a couple of possessions back to back to back.
It was an 8-point game, Kim. About the midway portion, midway mark, I should say, of this fourth quarter. And then Oklahoma, in a matter of 4 minutes, go on a 16-2 run.
Oklahoma has gotten 49 points from Reagan Beers and Skylar Vann. Beers with 25, Vann with 24. How about that?
Impressive. One last run for a player like Skylar Vann. Scott now dials up the 3. Scott, a little more familiar territory, close range. Count it, and the foul. She earns a trip to the line. Finally, she says. They're Everybody feeling good. The vibes are good on the Oklahoma side.
Ooh, the crowd is fired up here. Just fighting for it. Liz Scott, the senior, took a couple tries. Had to feel good. And this crowd here in Norman has really erupted over the last couple of minutes. An 18-2 run, make it 19.
I mean, they have doubled up. Okay, you could double up your opponent in a lot of categories. Rarely do you double them up on the glass. They're plus 34 on the glass. And the 69 rebounds, that is a new season high.
Wow.
That's an outrageous number. You know, and so for this Florida Gulf Coast team, amazing how things can shift so quickly in the postseason. Earlier this quarter, they were down 8. Imani Jefferson, the player with the ball who just laid that one up, ASUN Player of the Year, was starting to get going, but after a couple of misses and then an Oklahoma run, it was that 14-0 burst that is going to be the decisive blow in this one. And the All-American from a year ago, Reagan Beers, a difference maker in this fourth quarter. For Florida Gulf Coast, its 11th NCAA tournament appearance in 13 years. They are the 8-time defending ASUN champs. They run the league. And arguably the strongest mid-major in America is likely going to have its season come to an end here. Score that basket. Kirsten Johnson getting some run and will be at the line. And amazing, Kim, how this one flipped just a few minutes ago.
Yeah, literally, like we said, in the blink of an eye, with the pace that Oklahoma plays at, the different looks they could give you from 3. They've knocked down 8 of those. And then, of course, Beers in the paint was just a matchup problem all afternoon for the undersized Eagles.
Valiant effort. But it does. It is going to be consecutive losses to the Sooners in the first round, back-to-back years. Maybe just maybe they were thinking about, was this going to be the year to do it? When it was an 8-point game, there goes Imani Jefferson. Is that the last time she's going to wear that uniform? 5th-year senior from Miami. Helped this program to consecutive ASUN championships her 2 seasons. Several other seniors that are in this rotation, on this roster, on the floor, that get one last run here for the Eagles.
Yeah, I just want to applaud Jefferson for how she handled those tough foul calls and to come back in with such composure.
Cairns, Mitchell Steen, Taylor, Santoro, Gill, Page, so many seniors that are very likely exhausting eligibility here for the Eagles. And meanwhile, it will be a battle of the top 2 seeds in this pod. Oklahoma, who had the strong season, earned the right to host first and second round, will face that vaunted Iowa Hawkeyes team in the round of 32 on Monday. Let's take a look.